this is Mella Dee, just in my studio in Fold in East London, here with Thomann, and I'm going to just show you sort of around my studio, show you a few little bits and bobs and a little explanation of them, and give you a rough idea of how I might sort of put together a sketch of a track, how I just compile sounds and sort of what I do to get started and the basis of everything sort of in terms of my workflow. So let's get started. This is my little wall of synthesizers, wall of sounds and that. A few different bits and bobs, all sort of run from Ableton, and at the minute sort of got this little dope for one controlling a couple of bits and bobs. My Circon's down there, it's not plugged in at the minute. Maybe one day. We've got my EPS 16, this is my nice little sampler. Love using this. It's a really interesting little device, just sort of plug it in, plug stuff off my phone, record samples in and stuff like that, just little bits and bobs. Probably my latest purchase is this Percon's HD01 from America. It's a mad little drum machine, so get some really good interesting rhythms on it. Poly 6, probably the only poly thing that I've got in here. I don't actually play any chords, to be honest with you. It's all just sort of single notes and simple gear, so that's probably my least used little bit of equipment, but it's still a good synth, you know. Mono poly, that's a favourite of mine. You can get quite a lot of mad sounds out of that. It's got 4 voices, but you can use them all like in unison. You can use them in poly as well, but it's not really something I do because you have to tune every single voice separately. 101, classic machine, everyone knows that one, but this one's modded up as well. It's got like pulse width modulation, it's got a filter drive. One of the first things I ever bought, MS-20 Mini, classic sort of machine as well. DRM, the Vermona. Very unique, it's got its own little sound, but it's usable, you just have to sort of tweak it a bit. Pulse, they're good synths, they're really nice and solid. I use a lot of bass sounds out of them. I've not been using it as much because, as generally goes, when you have a lot of outboard equipment, it decides as and when it wants to work and depends on how it's hooked up and stuff. But get started. It depends what mood I'm in. A lot of times I just sort of get going with a noise, you know what I mean, and whatever sort of setup and whatever my latest little vibe is. So at the minute I've got the dope for controlling the monopoly, it's controlling the VCF and the trig. Just sort of messing with it. The triggers on here, and this is like, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but especially when you start involving all the cross mod and the effect and the extra sort of something like that, just something simple. It can just be like the sort of start of a rhythm for me. Might sort of record something on the Percons. There we go. So that's like it's got 4 voices. It's got a sequencer for every single voice. You can play it in all different modes, forwards, backwards, random, change the groove, change the amount of steps on each voice. Then you've got modulation parameters, and you can sort of modulate everything. So it's quite deep, it's quite interesting. I sort of, with this, I tend to use it just sort of make a weird rhythm. I don't use it as the basis of my drums, like my straight kick drums. I still, a lot of the time, at the minute, I'm using sort of 909, 808 drums in Ableton, and I just do a lot of processing to give them character in there. But this sort of has been my weirder sort of section of my grooves, like the more sort of, what I call wigged out. Like every voice has 3 different modes and 3 different algorithms, and then you've got different filter ways, so it takes me a minute to get used to it. You've got also parameter lock stuff, which is quite nice. jam it out for a little bit. Maybe start it with a bit more straighter so it's not doing all the modulation stuff. Do a little bit of it myself. And I'll just start playing around, see how that sounds. And then even just like that, it's got something to start playing with, something to start working on. Maybe get something from the 101. I've got this modded 101, like I say, so you can get quite crazy compared to like your normal 101s. Once I've sort of recorded stuff in, I brought some drums in from a previous project. I like to sort of make things as quick as possible, so that's how I prefer working in the studio. Less time thinking about it, more time just doing it and then sort of edit it from there. So that's like a little groove for now. Little snare, put that through the Ursa Major, which is a old school reverb that I've got. It's kind of mad, it's got like some warning thing about it messes with radio signals and stuff. It gets quite crazy. It's been modded as well, so it does like quite a lot of different things. It's definitely one of my favourite pieces in the studio, and it's nice to sort of, it's nice to have effects just to play around with a little bit, I find, you know. Keeps it a bit more interesting. Let's try this through something, maybe through the H3000. So that was just a quick outline and a quick sketch of what I do, a very sort of compact version, compressed version of what I do, and how I approach sounds, and just generally, for me it's all about having fun and enjoying it and sort of just capturing things within the moment. But yeah, thanks for watching, and if anyone's got any questions or anything, feel free to ask them in the comments and I'll try to get back to everything and be as helpful as I can.